Cool. So last time we held a Q&A was last April, I believe. Well, not last April, but last year's April. And a lot of things have changed with how we are doing the Revelius update. Um, with the main thing being gear. Uh, so gear allows us to turn our game into an actual RPG with actual progression. So the first thing to discuss is spell progression. So it's on the first slide or second slide because there's an intro slide. Uh, so players, you guys will no longer be able to obtain every single spell. Um, and this is just to make people feel more unique and people have different play styles. Um, but you will still get all the utility spells like Avamora, Leviamora, Resistamentum, Molio, Reductimus, all that kind of stuff. Um, because that stuff is needed through quests, which I'll discuss later. Um, so with the spell progression, we're introducing spell trees, and each of them is based on a specific spell type. Um, so the five spell trees are Charm, Jinx, Curse, Transfiguration, and Defensive. And so you can see in the visuals there's all the spell trees there. So with the ones at the top, they point to the ones below it, and so you require the ones at the top before you can get the ones that they point to. Um, yeah, and each one costs one spell point. You can put up to 3 points into a spell. That makes the spell stronger, like lower cooldown, more damage. Maybe it does something slightly different, like for Stupificus, for example. Maybe the first level will just cancel spells. The second one will have uh the lockout on it, like the cooldown lockout, and then the third one has damage. Um, and then this is being done so that, like, for example, if I like the spells in Transfiguration, I can make those spells very strong, and I can make uh those spells basically turn the tide of a duel if I hit them, as opposed to and so we have a bunch of spells that are being removed because they don't really fit into the game anymore, and we might add some of them back later. Um, but at the moment, the list of removed spells includes Spectrus, Impulsimentum, Engorgimus, Impervio, Oblitero, Restringo, Amentium, Lapiforma, Fumus, Curago, Salvio Optime, Conflamora, Blizzix, Orchiflora, Colorivio, Meliformis, and Obscurio. So some of those that affect like PvP and PvE won't probably won't be added back. For example, Fumus. Um, but others that are more like cosmetic stuff might be added back later, like Orchiflora or even Meliformis. Um, things like Curago and Amendium, with those being removed, spells like Epiphere will change so that they like you're still able to heal others pretty well. And yeah, so each spell tree has 10 spells that can be unlocked using spell points, and you can invest up to 3 points in each spell. The spell trees cost AC to reset, as opposed to gold with our talent system. Well, with the previous talent system. Um, and so the spell points affect damage, debuff duration, cooldown, all that kind of stuff. And another thing is that you can only get those spells if you meet the level requirements. So, for example, for Monstrum, all the way at the bottom of the Curses spell tree will require you to be a graduate, probably maybe even a little bit higher in level. It'll be all level based as opposed to year based. And by the time you're level 80, you'll earn 30 spell points. So you could max out an entire tree, or you could invest in different ones. But you can get up to 30 spells, and or you could make 10 spells really strong. And those are just combat spells. So you still get like Ascender, a Parrier, all the other stuff. It's just stuff for combat that these spell trees affect. So then, moving on to world quests. So, NPCs are going to be spread around the world, mostly in towns at the moment, and you can go talk to them and get given quests. Um, some of the NPCs give multiple quests, and some of them also follow a storyline involving two or more quests. So, we have a couple storylines in like Griffin's Hollow, in the dwelling area, uh, in a town called Wigton, which is the snow town, the town with snow that you saw in the trailer, which some people thought was Hogsend, End, but it was actually Wigton. Um, and so the while doing these quests, you'll progress through levels, and you'll also be rewarded gold and sometimes gear. So most quests will be located in specific regions on the map, such as Hogsworth, Hogsend, London, the Dwelling, and more. Each region has a specific target level, and the quests in each region are targeted at players within that level range. So the Dwelling area, which is like the whole southern part of the map, like southern coast part of the map, is targeted at players between levels 31 and 40. So all the quests and mobs will be targeted at players around those levels. As of right now, almost all our quests stay within regions, so there's not much cross-region stuff, but we will be looking to do that in the future. Currently, we're creating, on average, anywhere from 4 to 7 quests per region, and there's like 15 or so regions, so there's close to 70 of those quests, plus all of the all the daily riddles. Uh, and you can find the starting location of all the quests in your quest journal. So right now the quest journal is only really used for us. It just does /Q for you. But we're going to change that so that it has all of your quest stuff in it. Okay, so mobs and mob locations. So as mentioned earlier, each region is targeted at a specific level range. So the mobs in those regions are targeted at those levels, and they don't spawn in any other regions. So uh, we have mandrakes that spawn in the greenhouses, and they're like level 4, I think, or level 5. Those don't spawn anywhere else, just in the greenhouses. Um, and the builders are currently working on, and they've done most of them, they're currently working on mob locations for each mob to make it feel like the mob's habitat. So if we go to the next slide, in the mob locations here, you can see the treant location there. It's like a kind of foresty woods area, and there's a giant treant kind of statue there. And then we have the ember snake one next to it. Those are two new mobs that are coming as well. The ember snake one is like a kind of destroyed village. Um, yeah. So then mob drop. So the mob drop system is pretty simple. So right now, you basically just go out into the wilderness and you kill mobs. You get their drops, and the only reference you have is like the codex and your profession's recipes. But in future, all the mob drops are going to be kind of like following the type of that mob. So for example, we have all our snake mobs in one category. So we have like horned snake, which is around like level 50 something, maybe 60 something. I think it's 50 something. Uh, and that drops like horned snake skin, and that's like a level 50 item. And then we have rune spores, which is that three-headed snake from the trailer and on the previous 2 slides previous. Um, that drops Runespore skin, and that one is the level 80 version. So if you want to make a level 80 version of a professions item, you would use Runespore skin over Horn Snake skin. The Horn Snake skin for the level 50 one. And I'll go more into that later when we get to professions. Um, so there are a few differences in the mob drops sometimes. Like, uh, for example, there's like Horn Snake Venom. Wiggle Worms are also in that category, and they drop Wiggle Worm Mucus. So that's like the same type of thing. But yeah, we're basically keeping all the mob drops consistent throughout leveling. And we're also going to be adding barrier mobs. So these are mobs that kind of like act as a barrier to lower level players. So like in any game, when you're like just walking through the wilderness and you see a higher level or like a much higher level mob, you're going to be like, oh, I don't want to go there because I'm going to die. So yeah, that's what we are um, doing to solve having to like gate people from certain locations on the map until they level up. All right, so professions. So the entire update started with reworking professions, and they're very different to how it was described a year ago. Um, so professions no longer have their own separate leveling system. They're consistent with your normal player level. So if you're level 80, you can craft any professions item in the game. So really, it's changing from a profession system to just something more that you can do. Um, Herbology no longer has planting, and it's just harvesting plants. And it no longer has any plants with spells on them. So plants are scattered around the world, and you can go and just right click them to collect them, and they serve as ingredients in cooking and potions. Um, and this is also a very simple system, like mob drops. So the same plants spawn everywhere. The same, like I think it's about 9 plants spawn everywhere on the map, just at 10 level intervals. So around the Hogsworth area, you'll get the level 1 variants of the plants, and then like uh, but around Griffin's Hollow, you'll get the level 50 or 40 variants of the plant. Um, and cooking is all about buffing your strengths and resistances to each type of magic. So that's in it. It's just counters and healing. So there's no cooking item or potion item that buffs your damage or resistance to those because there's no damage coming from it. Um, to cook an item, you just need to have the ingredients in your inventory. So that's the mob drops and the plants. And you just go up to a furnace or a stove, whatever we call it, Potterworld, in a town, and you just click on the item you want, and 3 seconds later, it's done. Cooking's very simple, and there's no wait time. And yeah. So at level 80, you'll be able to create food that gives you a 50% strength or resistance buff in a type of magic for 10 minutes. Um, so yeah, every 10 levels, you'll have an increase in percentage and also duration. So like for level 70 items, instead of 50% for 10 minutes, it would be 45% for 9 minutes. So yeah, you're gonna want to get these uh, buffs for when you're fighting hard mobs, so you can kill them before they can kill you. And then potions. So a lot of you guys have played through. Um, there was Spring Festival. There was Butterbrew last year, or it was maybe Anniversary Butterbrew. That there's the new potion system with the whole brewing station there, and you click on the different blocks there. And you create those potions, which are instant effects and strong buffs. So some of these are more like unique buffs than cooking, but they're also unique effects. So you mostly brew like bombs that deal to certain magic types and healing in order to defeat mobs quickly and sustain through battle. So instead of buffing your damage for a duration. With cooking, you deal instant damage with a bomb. So it would be like you chuck a potion and it deals like 1,000 charm damage. So same as the other professions, it has the same potions every 10 levels, just at like more strength. And brewing a potion is very different. As I mentioned, it's the whole brewing system setup. Another thing that we're reintroducing is our Felix Felicis, which is Felix Fortuna, and there will be a quest once you complete brewing that to get Lastrum in Cesis. All right, so gear. Now, gear is our biggest feature for this update, and it basically drives the whole game. Um, and it's going to be the largest gold sink in the game as well. So right now, you really only spend gold on collectibles, housing blocks, stuff like that. But moving forward, you'll be spending a lot of gold on gear. So without gear, you will be equivalent to a level 1 player. You'll have 100 health and you'll deal pretty basic damage. Um, yeah, so you will need gear. And it kind of, that way we kind of reset everyone in a way without resetting levels. So you still got to get the gear, but you have access to all the spells still. Um, So there's 6 gear slots. That's the head, body, legs, boots, hand, and trinket. And they're all accessed by typing /gear. Um, so gear is not visual on your character in game like in vanilla Minecraft. It's just in a GUI. But we will be adding a way on the website and also in game for players to view each other's gear. So you'll still be able to see someone's gear. Probably be able to do it in the shift click menu, shift right click. And each piece of gear has loads of different attributes that affect stats of every player, and the attributes include like health, damage, defense, cooldowns. Uh, there's other stuff like range, spell radius. That stuff's in talents right now. Um, But yeah, so gear in a way replaces talent. And yeah, I forgot to mention that earlier. Talents will be removed with this as well. Um, so to obtain gear, you just need to loot a gear recipe from a mob that drops randomly, a hidden chest, or other looting methods. So those will all drop randomly. And then you need to go to a tailor, which is found in most towns, and you craft the gear using materials and gold. So, as well as the mobs dropping their specific mob drops for professions, you also get gear materials, and that's stuff like different types of metal, different types of wood, different types of gems. The other one is different types of cloth. Um, and yeah, you just use all those different material types to craft gear, and it will always be materials that suit that level range. Um, so gear also has durability. However, it doesn't actually like break. You won't lose the gear. It will just stop working. And when it breaks like that, you just have to go to a tailor and repair it with a little bit of materials and gold, and that should be pretty cheap. Um, Another thing with gear is that you don't lose durability from taking damage quickly at all. It's like maybe a 10% chance, we might lower that as well, when you get hit, that you actually lose 1 durability. Instead, it's more that if you die, you lose a lot of durability. You lose 10%. That's the value we have right now of your maximum durability. So if your gear piece has 500 durability, dying will lose 50 of it. Whereas taking damage takes much longer to lose durability. Okay, so travel. So we're moving away from a system where you can just travel anywhere on the map for almost free and almost instantly. So fire dust, warp keys, and brooms are changing a lot. So fire dust will be more expensive, and it'll be a physical item that you'll need to carry around in order to use. So it takes up an inventory slot. Um, and it's only accessible from one main location within each region. So if you want to fire dust somewhere from from Hogsworth in the Hogsworth area, you have to go to the Great Hall. Um, and for Hogs End, it'll probably be the Broomsticks Inn. For Dwelling, it'll be the bottom floor in the Dwelling. For London, it'll be the Cauldron Inn. So as of right now, the plan is to make locations that are further away cost the most fire dust. So if you're in Hogsworth and you want to travel all the way down to London, that's like north side of the map all the way to the south side of the map, it's going to cost you quite a bit of fire dust. I'd say maybe like 100 to 200 gold, but we really have to kind of get a feel of how the economy's going after the update. It's impossible to tell right now. Um, so we want to treat warp key bags as more of like a home teleport thing. Like you can set your home and teleport back there. Um, so what we're going to do is make it so that you go to where you want your warp key bag to take you to, and you can set your home location there. For example, if you're at Hogsworth, you'd have to go to the Great Hall. You can set your warp key bag to uh, you can set your home location there, and then when you're like across the map, you can just use your warp key bag to go all the way back. Um, there will be a short cooldown on it, probably 10 to 15 minutes, and that might sound like a long time, but when you have like stuff to do, like quests and killing mobs for ingredients and stuff, that time passes very quickly. And the broom system will be entirely different. So, similarly to gear, when killing mobs, looting chests, and doing other stuff, there's a chance that a broom recipe will drop. And then you must travel to broomsticks in London to craft the broom. So, all the current brooms that people have will basically turn into everyone's going to have a fire flash. And that's okay as well, because fire flash is like the premium item for brooms. It would also cost a lot more to craft, as well as the materials. So as I said, all the current brooms become basically collectibles. They no longer actually fly. And there will be an introductory quest for brooms around level 30, which will be at broomsticks, and that will give you the blue branch. And you'll want to get a faster broom, and you will get a faster broom pretty quickly as you level up, because there are higher chances of the brooms dropping at high levels. Um, and in the future, we want to add an online map for everyone to be able to access. So at no moment can a player be lost, really. They can just check the map, see where they are, and find their way from there. Um, with that change as well, we will the change to travel, we will have to change like slash spawn. We won't want that anymore, but we might have a way for you to um respawn at the nearest town or the nearest suitable town. Along with travel comes location discovery. So we think that location discovery will encourage everyone to explore and learn more about the world. So upon entering a location for the first time, like you'll enter Hogsworth for the first time, you'll get a message in your chat, and you'll get an XP reward, and you might do a small gold reward as well. Um, and then in slash me, you can go and check and see all the places you've discovered, and there's like a little lore piece about them as well. Um, So, along with this, also high level locations can't be discovered by low level players. Otherwise, like if a level 1 player goes to a level 80 area, they'll get a ton of experience, skip a lot of levels. Don't want that to happen. So, it'll be probably within maybe like 5 to 10 levels. Um, so we aren't currently focused on this, but we are hoping to release it with Revelius. It really has to be something done right at the end because we have to have everything else ready. Um, and yeah, it's pretty simple, so we should have it ready. And then world interactions. So world interactions is a small project. It's kind of like Quest, but a bit smaller. Um, but everything else really takes more priority over world interactions. They're just small things around the world that you guys can do for like small amounts of experience, gold, and other stuff. Um, so, for example, there is one at the Wicked Willow, which there's going to be a student that asks for like 20 of a mob drop, and you just give it to them, and then you have access to the Wicked Willow passage. So, for some of those secret passages, you'll have to do uh, something small in order to access them. All right. Um, Next thing, daily activities. So, most of the daily activities will be removed. Um, they'll no longer be our main content. Um, but we will have the minigame stuff still there. The main ones that are being removed are the mob hunt ones and some of the miscellaneous ones as well. But all the minigame ones, or most of the minigame ones, will still be there. We might change them a little bit. Um, and in the future, we're also looking to have a setup where you log in and then it gives you your daily activity, and then you just have one daily activity to do that day, and you just get that every day, and maybe we can have a streak system with that as well. But that's something for the future. For Revelius, it's just going to be the mob hunt tasks being removed and a few changes in minigames and miscellaneous. All right, next thing is the library. So the lore team is working on creating tons of library books to fill out the library with information on mobs, locations, characters, and more stuff. Like even stories like in the Harry Potter series, there's the Tales of Beetle the Bard. We might have stuff similar to that. And so you guys will have the full library at your disposal, and you'll be able to sit for hours just reading about our world if you want to. It's not something you have to do. It's just if you're interested in the lore of the world, you can go and read about it. And it also serves as a baseline for where we want to go with the server. So all quests, classes, events, all that kind of stuff is going to be using our own lore. All right, newcomers. So this has been something that's brought up quite often, but bloodlines are actually being removed with this. It's a fun little RP thing, but we've noticed that it confuses new players a lot, quite a lot, and we don't plan on adding anything in Quest for bloodlines because we don't want to gate content. So like you won't be able to change your bloodline. It doesn't really make sense to be able to change your bloodline. So we don't want to be like only true bloods can access this content because that means there's a whole load of players who can't do any of it. So yeah, we don't think that the role play element of it is enough to keep it in the game. All right, so then removed gameplay. So the first one is hunger. Uh, you'll no longer need to eat food, keep your hunger full. So the healing spells that give hunger as well, they won't give hunger because they don't need to. And that further distances ourselves from a survival game because mainly survival games have that hunger, sometimes thirst, even aspect, and we're just going to full blown RPG. Um, Another thing that we're removing is warp info. As I mentioned before, slash spawn is being removed. Um, but all the necessary information from warp info will be taught through quests. Um, yeah, that I guess that adds on to the newcomer section as well because when you get sorted and you're finished your intro quest, you have quests up to like level 5, which are very, very simple quests and teach you the basics of the game. Okay, so we are up to our section on questions. So, the question we got. Wait, Autumn. Are the ones that are highlighted in green, are they the ones you want me to answer?
Yeah.
Okay. So, question is, does this mean spell progression will be reset for all players? No. If you're level 80, you still have all your utility spells like Apparier, Ascendier, um Aperior, Reductimus, all that stuff I mentioned earlier. Um the only things that will be removed from your wand are the remove spells that I listed earlier and the spell tree spells. You'll have to get the spells from the spell trees manually once the update is live. And then the next quest will quests like the Dark Prison and Revenant still be able to complete after Revelius. So the Dark Prison is going to change. I'm thinking we could still have Yasmin as a boss right at the end of it. But that whole dungeon setup that we have with all those checkpoints could change. But that wouldn't be ready for Revelius. And Revenant is something that I want to rebalance a little bit after Revelius because it's really hard to figure out how much damage and healing people can do with all this new gear coming. So it won't be available on release, but it's a priority after that, as well as more dungeons will be out as an already graduate. Okay, so as I mentioned, you'll still have access to all the spells in the spell trees, um, and you still have all your utility spells. You just have to get the gear before you can go to those level 80 areas, because otherwise you're just gonna die. Um, Another thing with gear, I guess, would be good to mention is that the average amount of health for a level 80 is going to be around 10,000. So we are going back to a system where graduates one hit lower level, but as we're going to an RPG, this will hopefully fit with the flow of the game. Dueling classes will have to change. They'll be in their like separate like level ranges again. However, challenges will not. Challenges are competition. Uh, Quests are targeted towards people of that level. Does that mean graduates will be able to breeze through all the low level quests? Um, well, if you have the gear, yeah. But if you're just doing the quests in order and you have the gear appropriate for those levels, it's going to be just like playing from the ground up. So basically, I think this is some people might not like it, but I think this is a good thing because you basically get to experience it as a normal player, but you don't have to reset. Okay, so what is happening with the existing wilderness builds? The wilderness is being completely removed. It's all on the main map now. We might port over some stuff from the wilderness because we have the builds there, so we might reuse them at some stage, but no plans for that at the moment. Um, what's the plan for making use of more locations on the map? Um, well, so if we go back to the map, Sonia, could you do that on the live stream on the location discovery slide? Um, the map that all this content that I've been talking about, that only covers like half of the main island on the left. So we're going to be doing much more in future, and we're planning on having hundreds of quests. Um, and something we're going to be working on straight after Revelius is out is filling up the rest of the map and also adding allegiance based quests so you can. This doesn't tie in with roleplay, but it's like the world allegiances. So that will fill up the map more. And then a little bit after then, we'll move over to the bottom right island, which is France, and we'll have Beaubois. And then after that, we'll move to the top right island, which is Northern Europe. So it has Domenstrad. Okay, so will you increase the maximum level? Right now, mm, we don't have plans for that. Even in future, with having Beaubois and Domenstrad, I don't think we need to increase the max level. It's just about creating more content in order to level up, um, and more gear and all that stuff. But maybe if we went to like Japan or New York at some point, maybe then we'd increase it because having content up to level 80 on in that much space is stretching it. If profession levels are being merged with normal levels, what do they add? So you have all the items that you can create. When you're fighting bosses, like in dungeons in the future, not right on release date, they'll regen health faster than you can deal damage sometimes. So you need those items to have the damage output. Um, and also since it's in spell trees now, not and also gear, not everyone is going to be able to heal very well. Um, most people still have average healing, but some people are like glass cannon, so they deal tons of damage, but they can die very quickly. So those kind of people will need healing potions. Um, so the main potion I can see being made is the healing potion. So to what extent will the professions update influence classes? Uh, just just potions. Potions change will change to the brewing station. Um, since cooking isn't really that interactive, it's just go up to the stove and click what you want. Um, magical cuisine will probably have something pretty different to do with like preparing different parts of an item, a food item, but that's up to the academic team. So, will the current herbology plants be able to be used in regards to their spells when the update comes out? That's something I also forgot to mention. All the current items will be removed. They won't fit in the like any of the professions recipes anymore, and they won't drop from any mobs. So we're just going to remove them all. Um, Unfortunately, there's no way to really compensate that. There might be like small gold amounts given, but it's really like dependent on the economy. So like let's say someone has like 10,000 items in their chest and we give 2 gold, that's for each item. That's 20k that we've just given to someone. Um as opposed to them having to sell the items. Okay, so will professions rewards be removed, including prefixes? So the professions rewards, like the hats, the wands, the emote packs, we want to move those to the store. Um, but everyone that has them right now will keep them. You've you've earned it, so there's no point us removing it. However, the prefixes we will probably be removing because they clutter chat quite a bit, and we don't want new players to be confused. Um, And yeah, since there's no like profession mastery anymore, it doesn't really make sense to have them. Will players who have already reached level 80 keep their levels? Yeah, they will. Um, seeing as seeing as the server is going in this direction with gameplay, what will happen with roleplay? Okay, so this is something we actually discussed in I discussed with the GD leads pretty recently. So what we're going to do is put NPCs in the world that have like it says the NPC name, and then underneath it says roleplay, and those will teleport you to the separate world that the roleplay is on. Um, so like Mysterious Manor will be the new Dark Follower base. If you go in there, there'll be a roleplay NPC, and you can teleport to the roleplay base version of Mysterious Manor. And that might have way more secrets in it. But yeah, the world is basically a different story to roleplay. As a player who has already reached level 80 and has a large quantity of gold, will I only need gear for the update? Um, I mean, yeah, you'll need gear to fight mobs and complete quests. You also need a broom unless you want to walk everywhere. Um, but the main thing is gear. There's the professions items as well. If you have a large quantity of gold, maybe you don't need to make the professions items yourself. You can just go buy them. Um, but yeah. As a level 80 player, I immediately unlock every recipe potion plant at the Revelius release. Yes, you do. But you're not going to be able to make the higher level stuff because you won't have the gear to survive in the higher level areas. But you will be able to make that stuff if you like buy it from someone else. New additions like gear have always proven to be rather imbalanced in the past. Has this feature been thoroughly tested around this time around in order to prevent it from being unbalanced upon release? Well, we're planning on adding about 1,000 pieces of gear. It's impossible to test all of them because there's all different combinations. Um, so, um, but yes, we will be testing as much as we can, and we will be rebalancing stuff as we go. Will gear be removed in dueling classes? Uh, as of right now, no. But as I mentioned before, they will be split up into separate years. Um, because even if gear was removed, there's still every single spell. The damage is calculated with a formula, so we would need to load different a whole different magic config up for classes if we were to remove gear for it. How does slash gear work? So if we go back to the gear slide, um, in the top right you have that's what comes up when you have slash gear. Um, so I should have gone more into detail with it really. On the left you have your 6 slots. So from on the left side there's your hand slot, on the right side there's the trinket slot, and then from top to bottom there is the head, body, legs, and boot slot. And then on the right side there is the sword icon is power, so that includes all your magic type damage, and it also includes your healing power. Below that is defense, so that'll show your health. It'll show your defense against certain magic types, and any counter spell kind of stuff. Um, no, I think it just shows defense and health and that. And then below that is intelligence, so that plays cooldowns. Couple other things, and then below that is potency, uh, and that is stuff like spell range, spell radius, knockback, debuff duration. So what's really cool is you could go like full debuff duration and deal really low damage, but you could hit someone with Last Room and Ceasus or Contagious and it could last like 20 seconds. And yes, that's very strong, but uh, there's also counters to that. What will the effect on dueling be with gear? Um, so the gear affects like different spell types. So you'll want to get spells that work with your gear, or you want to get gear that works with the spells that you like. Either one works. Um, there are like strength, uh, there's resistance and weakness to certain elements. However, it's not going to matter as much. So it's not like if I take uh extra damage to curses, that someone with curse damage is always going to win. It's still based on skill. Okay, will there be any data resets with Revelius? Only the fact that like the profession levels are being removed, but I mean, because that changes entirely, it's not so much a reset, just a change in the system. Um, okay, what about Dark Follower, Phoenix, and Aura armor? That's all visual stuff. You can still wear that, but it's not like gear. Gear are all separate items. On that gear slide, there were also a few example items um, of what we have. How strong will the gear inflation be? Does a level 80 kill a level 1 in one hit? A level 50? Yes, so every 20 levels, your health triples from the 20 levels before that. So at level 1, you have 100 health. At level 20, you have 300 health. It's a little bit over 3 times, so it's like 320 health. At level 40, you have like 960 health. Um, at level 60, you have about 3,000 health, and then at level 80, you got 10,000. So yeah, level 80s won't be able to one hit level 60s, but two hit some of them, yeah. Um, but generally that's how it is in most RPGs. Uh, like if you'd been playing a game for like 2 months straight, you have really high level gear. Would you expect to go to a low level and lose to someone? I wouldn't. So Um, that's the idea with gear. We're going for RPG as opposed to everyone always being equal, and skill and spells are the determining factor. If fire dust will be a physical item, won't it be able to be duplicated using a glitch like physical gold? Well, glitch abuse is against the rules, so if anyone does that, they'd be banned. So I discourage doing that. Won't nerfing warp keys and fire dust discourage exploration? Um, I mean, I don't think so. I think it actually promotes looking for more locations because like you'll like warp to the Great Hall, but then you can travel to a different location that's like quite far away, and you're like, wow, I found this cool location that no one knows about because it's so far away. So I mean, I think people will still explore. Um, I think that it's just that there's not as much like ease of access to every location, and I think that's fine as well. It's just in order to make traveling mean something, because if you can just warp everywhere on the map in an instant, what's the point of travel? Um, what kind of items will be removed slash disappear from your inventory? I assume that means with the previous professions items, it's all those mob drops and plants. Um, yeah, all those items will be removed from inventory. How many homes with the Wupke bag will you be able to have? One at a time. So, but you can just set it whenever. There's the cooldown still for setting it, which is the same as the warping cooldown. They're gonna share the cooldown. Um, but Yeah, you can only have one home at a time. But remember, you can always fire dust. Will broom appearances still be there for future brooms? And if yes, what about people who have the actual broom? Will they be given the specific texture as a collectible? Um, well, those collectible versions are still going to be bound, so you won't be able to trade them, sell them. Um, and broom appearances will still be there. Unfortunately, there's no way to make it appear on the item itself, like in your hand. We might be able to do that in future, but on release, it's just going to be when you actually fly, it shows that broom appearance. So you'd be holding like a fire flash, and then when you fly, it turns into um like the winter sled, something like that. Will you guys stop selling the current brooms so players aren't stuck with a collectible in Revelius? Yeah, all the current brooms won't be sold anymore. It's the only brooms that you'll be able to get after Revelius are the ones that you have to craft with the recipe that drop and the materials. Will our current items be kept for Revelius, like fire flashes and fire dust? So the fire dust in slash bow, that's going to be converted into gold because fire dust is going to be a physical item, and the fire flashes, all the brooms are going to turn into bound collectibles. Will we get a refund for our brooms? I know some people with multiple fire flashes and just obsoleting them is kind of unfair to them. Well, having multiple fire flashes in the first place is kind of obsolete already. Um, I don't think we're planning to refund brooms. Uh, we're just gonna keep them as a memento. As well with like multiple fire flashes, like you can't have them restored either. Like if you lost your broom. Oh, another thing this broom thing actually fixes is you can't lose your broom when the server restarts. Okay, so if you go to your housing from a location, will you return to that location upon leaving? Yes, but you will only be able to go to housing while you're inside a town. That's the work with the world to have like portable storage everywhere. If I can just go to my housing and get any item I want from a chest when I'm like maybe in the middle of a dungeon or something, um, then it's gonna cause some issues. Approximately how large is the map? About how long will it take to travel from one side of the map to the other on an average speed broom? I haven't tried on an average speed broom, but on a fire flash it takes about 6 minutes from top to bottom. That's all the way at the top, all the way to the bottom though. You will never be traveling that distance. Will there be a wiki where we can view information? From what I've seen, this is far too much to remember. Community management wants to create a wiki in the future. We actually have a lot of our lore information on a staff database, and we move that over onto a player accessible one as well. Will housing be kept after Revelius? Yes. What happens to all the current profession items? They all get removed from your inventory. Um, are we able to keep our profession items after Revelius is out? If you don't scroll on them, yeah, but they become useless. So they're just gonna like take up space. How many spell trees can you have? What is the max? So you have 30 spell points that you can put into spells. There are 50 spells in total over 5 spell trees. So each spell tree has 10 spells, and you can put up to 3 points in one spell. So you could max out an entire tree. I don't think many people will do that. Um, there are some spells in every tree that not everyone's gonna like. For example, um, like in curses, I don't see many people using contagious, so that that might not be popular. Um, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Um, But yeah, you can have 30 spells, 30 out of those 50 spells maximum. It's just that if you put one point into each of those spells, they're not going to be very strong. And also, you need gear to boost your power in those elements, um, those magic types. Otherwise, you're not going to deal that much damage with them. What will there be for graduates? Um, so I mean, graduates, there's still getting the gear. Once you're max level, it's really about getting gear and going for PvP. Um, there's still going for gold. There's still going to be collectibles. Um, but it's mostly once you get to max level, where we mostly want to get as many people possible involved in our tournament. Because I mean, you won't have to have super good aim to be in a dueling tournament anymore. Maybe you want to be a healer for a team, and that's easier to play, aim wise. So then you just go full healer, and then yeah, you don't have to be super good at dueling anymore. Um, you just have to have good teamwork. What about the Marauders map? Warpkey bag, will it be out of use slash removed? Yeah, so the Marauders map and the Warpkey bag will also be collectibles, like the old Warpkey bag. Um, but those ones are tradable still. So, yeah, it's kind of unfortunate that we have to do that, but it also opens up something that we can do in future, which is having a 3D model version of the Marauders map as a warp key bag, or maybe you get a shoe like from the Goblet of Fire. There's that shoe portkey. Is it going to be easy or harder to get gold when Revelius comes out? Um, well, quests give gold, so if you still have quests to do, then it's easier. If you don't have quests to do, then it's it could be harder because you don't have all the daily activities every day. Um, but you can also get gear and sell it. So it really depends on how you play. Um, I just looked over at the chat. What about chest runs? So yeah, chests in the specific regions are going to be like dropping loot for those specific regions. They will drop gold as well, but it's not going to be the same as now where there's gold in every chest, and there's not going to be like tons of ingredients in every chest. It's going to be pretty random. But you can also get broom recipes, um, gear recipes, and all that stuff from chests. I'm still looking at the chat, so but this before I go back to the form here. Do we keep AC and voting credits? Yes, you do. Um, okay, how does the spell limitations work? I assume that's the spell trees, so I'll go over that again. Um, so if we go back to the spell trees slide and we look at the charm spell tree, the spells that you can start off with there are Aquatimentum and Immobilio. Those ones have no arrows pointing to them. So that means that you can start off with those spells. They still have their level requirements, but you don't have any spell requirements in order to get those. Then, if you want to get Stupificus, it has one spell requirement, which is Aquatimentum. So if you want to get Stupificus, you have to have Aquatimentum, but you only need to put one spell point into Aquatimentum in order to get Stupificus, and then you can put 3 points into Stupificus if you want. So it works like that. If you go over to the defensive tree, if you look at that, um, actually a better example is the curses one. You need to have every single spell in that spell tree in order to get Flamonstrum, because Flamonstrum is going to be very strong. Um, yeah, another thing would be that the spells in these spell trees are balanced around their level requirement and also where they are in the spell trees. So the spells that are harder to get will be much stronger, and you'll want to get them. But it's not going to be in a way that if you don't get them, you're super weak. You can still go for other stuff and do well. Will people be able to craft rooms and sell them to others if they have the recipes? Well, rooms are no longer going to be bound, so you can craft a fire flash and sell it to someone else. You could even, um, with your like, if you have a nimble max and then you craft a fire flash, you can go sell your nimble max and make a lot of gold back. Okay. I know you said gear isn't a visibly equitable, but will there be a way to make it visible? Um, so not like physically visible, but players will be able to look at each other's gear in the GUIs. So it won't be like actually on your character. And I think I honestly prefer that because I think a big part of our community is um skins. I think a lot of people put a lot of time into their skins, so I want to keep that. It also affects roleplay with the skins. Okay, so how are tournaments going to be affected by the new talent trees? Is there going to be many changes with these tournaments? So I will go into much more detail about this at a later date, but um, tournaments and challenges are going to be changing quite a lot in the future. Um, the main change is that when you join a tournament, there's no qualifiers, and you get to choose the people in your team as long as they're in your house. Um, and there's not only one team per house. So yeah, you don't have to get through qualifiers to get into a tournament. If we get to the point where we have finished all the quests and new features, will there be any other ways to play or continue past features? Uh, well, we want to keep adding content so that you always have stuff to do. There's still always events. There's still always role play stuff. Um, like there's still going to be the role play events, the role play live events, uh, even unofficial role play. Um, always have stuff to do. We'll be able to talk about that like much later because we're all focused on Revelius right now. Haven't put much thought into uh end game content after Revelius. Will locations be added to the new wilderness after the update, or once you've explored everything, will there not be anything else to explore ever? So the new map is not the wilderness. Like Hogsworth is on that map. We we're calling it the world now. Um, so as we create more content, there'll also be more towns built and more different locations. Like maybe there's a random lighthouse. I think there was something suggested on the forums, but the cave that Harry and Dumbledore went into in the Half Blood Prince, that's on the map, a little bit hidden, so you can go find that. Um, well, I was talking, Joel. I was talking about the in the movies, not in Potterworld. Um, or in the books as well. But yeah, we'll always be adding more stuff for you to explore, and um, we might not always write about it. So maybe we like do an update that adds like 10, but then there's a build that randomly got added on the opposite side of the map, and you just like happen upon it. You're like, oh, this is cool. Okay, so what is happening in regards to guilds? So guilds is something that is probably going to happen much further in the future. Uh, we'll still aim for having a guild housing. We'll still aim for having guilds to actually have an effect on your gameplay. Um, we're not sure how yet, but it's something that we want to work on in the future. Um, but there aren't any like set in stone plans right now. Will there be new ones added or removed to the store/game? Well, that's up to the store managers. But everything like they continuously add stuff throughout the year. Are all the spells being changed? Not all the spells. I mean, if you go into specifics, yes. Like there'll be damage changes, but um, there are some spells that remain the same, like Ascender, Parrier, and there's no reason to change those. All the utility spells really. It's mainly the combat spells that have to change to accommodate the update. Um, with the new with the introduction of new wizarding skills, will people be able to choose a different school to attend? No. So you always start at Hogsworth, and Hogsworth is always the school that you start at. Beaubois is probably going to be like a. It's I think I had a rough estimate of like level 60, whereas Dominstrat is like level 70. So you'd have quests to do there when you're around those levels, but you can't start at those schools. Are collectibles going to be removed? Nope. All the collectibles stay. We might do a little bit less collectibles in like events in future. We probably won't have any like with quest um or any of that stuff. There's no reason to really have collectibles if they're accessible all the time. Um, but events will also give gear that you can only get at those events. So um, it won't be like, oh, I went to Halloween 2020, so I got this piece of gear, and you can't get it any other time. It'll be available the next year. It'll just be, like, you know, the fresh new thing for a whole year. Will all of the stuff be ready to answer player question when Revelius comes out? Uh, so a lot of the stuff will be playing through it, like um, like normal players, but we have already had a Q&A with stuff about this, so everyone kind of knows what's going on, and we might write up a guide for them in order to help answer questions. Um, but the most knowledgeable people on it will be GD. So we'll be helping out a lot during the first few weeks. Uh, if you die in a dueling arena with gear on, will you lose durability? So, in dueling arenas, you still lose the durability from getting hit, which is like 10% chance, maybe lower, that you lose one durability every hit, but you don't lose the 10% if you die. Um, and that's the same in classes as well. So what exactly changes to tournaments, especially flying and mini games, quabbler ball, melting floor, etc.? So we don't have any plans to make any tournaments for the mini games. Just stuff like the Star Battle tournament every year. The quabbler ball one, we'd rather have teams involved, so we might have a whole thing where we're able to let certain people join a queue in order to start up a game, and then the arena must spectate it. That's something we'd want to add in future. I don't know how possible it is, but Dennis always says anything's possible. It's just how hard it is to do. Um, but yeah, with the tournament changes that I mentioned earlier, flying also has no qualifiers. You just join, team up with two people there, and yeah. Okay, will there be an objectively better gear? So we do have tiers in gear. We have common, rare, epic, and legendary. Legendary gear is always going to be the best. It's going to be very hard to get, but it will always be the best gear. It might not be the best for how you play, but objectively, we're always going to be aiming for higher levels and higher tier gear to be better. Are there going to be new spells? No, but there are spell changes. Like Epifio will be able to heal others, similar to Curago. Not like the previous Epifio, which was like that cone. but it's going to be able to heal others and also heal yourself. Um, can't your current brooms be transformed to a different skin for the new broom? Um, you can only wait. You can only change your broom appearance to the ones that you get off the store or from events. Um, and the current brooms are just going to be bound collectibles. So the new ones, if you have you'll just have to select your broom appearance again. And then when you fly, the broom appearance will show up. Will staff members who have staff collectibles like honey badger cups have to turn them in with the new gear update? Well, um those don't affect any of the magic types. The only thing it really affects is like fire damage. It doesn't affect fall damage. Um, yeah, it's mainly just fire damage, and I'll be looking into how much of a difference that makes. Um, but if it's not allowed anymore, people are just not allowed to wear them, but they can still keep them as like staff collectibles. Will there be any new ways of gaining academic credits quickly and efficiently? No, but um, should be more classes in future. Academic credits in this update are needed for resetting the spell trees if you want to uh, put your points into different spells or more points into different spells. Um, but yeah, we might have them to unlock other stuff in future, but that's all we have planned right now. Will the map completely change, or will things still generally be in the same place? It's completely changed. Uh, there's still like the main builds that got copied over to it, like Hogsworth. Although Hogsworth, it's like entire. Um, and then there's like Griffin's Hollow. That's in the center of the map. It's basically the same. I believe there's a new like extra street around the outside, but that's just to blend it with the rest of the world. But all the previous builds are generally the same layouts, but there are a few changes in them, and um, yeah, that they're mainly going to be they'll be recognizable, but you'll have to like learn it over again. Um, the media team is planning on making a before and after Hogsworth video, so you'll see some changes in that. Will the classrooms players get during flying classes change at all? Will we be able to keep those outside of class? Classrooms will disappear outside of class and will only be able to be used inside of classes. Because yeah, they're as fast as fire flashes. They just don't have the turning or acceleration. What will the exchange rate from the current fire dust to gold be? Um, the it's the same as the most expensive option. So if you bought at the most expensive, you'll get the same amount of gold back. How many planned towns for the whole map? Uh, well, if you include like stuff like Hogsworth and Mysterious Manor and that kind of stuff, we're planning for around 20. Um, but we're always going to be adding more in the future. What will happen to the spells to be unlocked that we have a refund? A refund. You'll have spell points to get the spells in the spell trees, and all the utility spells you'll still have. How will events work if players cannot travel to the Great Hall instantly? So that is something that does have to change a little bit. Events will be accessed from King's Cross Station. We're gonna add another magical platform. Maybe like platform 7 3/4 or 10 1/2, something like that. So it's another magical platform that you can take a train to the current live event. and they're on separate builds, so we won't have uh, event themed courtyards anymore because it's a lot of overhead when updating stuff. Um, because you've got to like take into account when the world is being updated, like what day it's being updated on. It's the backend system is kind of complicated. Um, but yeah, so events are on separate builds, and you have to travel from King's Cross Station to get there. So lower levels can't get there straight away, but you'll be able to get to that level pretty quickly. It's around like level 30. Can you reset the spell points? Yep, you just need ACs, and you can reset all your spell points. A quest repeatable? No, the world quests aren't repeatable, but we might add some repeatable ones in future. Although those kind of things won't necessarily be quests. Like the Revenant dungeon, we wouldn't use the quest system for that anymore. You just go in there, and as far as you get is wherever you get. We might not have that you can like travel back to it. You have to restart. We'll see how it goes. Will there be a new version of Chakra Hop cards? Yeah, in future where we're going to update the Chakra Hop cards, we have to change them to lore terms. I know some people might not like that, but we have to do it. But one thing that that does add is the ability to create a collector's book. So you'll be able to store all your Chakra Hop cards in a collector's book, and you won't have to use a million chests for them. Is the daily riddle being removed? No, we're planning on having a lot of riddles that just, um, if you are like level 1 to 10, you're only going to get riddles that are in Hogsworth because that's the only place that you can really access without dying. What are ACs going to be used for? So you can use them to reset your spell trees, and we'll probably have them for unlocking more stuff in future. But right now, it's just the spell trees. What about the Memory Walker Challenge? That'll be a quest that you can get at level 51. Um, but yeah, you just go to Dribbledore in his office, and then he'll like give you the quest. Are appearances for wands being reset even if they were bought from the store? No. No wand appearances are being reset at all, not even the professions ones. You get to keep those, they're just added to the store as well. Anything new about magical creature profession? That hasn't been worked on at all. It's not something that's been planned. Like, planned to add further in the future, but it's not something we're wanting to add with Revelius. How many countries slash schools do you want? Right now, it's just Hogsworth, and then in future we have Beaubois, and then Dormanstrad, and then after then I can't say. It's way too far in the future. Will Goblin Key come back? Maybe. We have a way to do it automatically, so maybe. Is location discovery similar to other RPG servers, or will it be different? It will be similar. Um, but we want to include more like information about the locations, um, and have some access to certain locations based on what locations you've discovered. Are the transforming spells staying? Yep, transformers stay. They're store item. So anything on the store does not get removed. That wouldn't be fair to you guys. Will there be more event items in events after Revelius? So we want to add gear to events as well. And we'll have collectibles still, but it's mainly seeing how it goes before we decide on how many event items we want to have in events. Because if everyone only wants stuff that actually benefits them, they're not going to want collectibles. If you're a collector, you want collectibles, but if you just care about like min maxing your stats, you're only going to want the gear. Wouldn't losing gear durability discourage people from practicing dueling in halls or going to dueling classes slash tournaments? I mean, you lose very small amounts of gear durability when you're practicing in halls, and it doesn't cost that much to repair either. How much AC will you need to use all 30 spell points? Um, so the spell points, you only need ACs to reset spell points. You don't need AC to add spell points into spells. Otherwise, resetting your spell points would cost a lot. Um, all right. So, any question that came after that, feel free to ask on the forums or on Discord. Um, but yeah, I've answered a lot of the questions. Um, feel free to leave feedback on the forums as well. Poltergeist will have a look at it and we'll get back to you guys. Um, but yeah, thanks for coming to the Revelius Q&A.